Hello friends and welcome to Anka's Kitchen. Today I want to inspire you to make a fall favorite dessert, a pumpkin pecan mini mousse cake. This cake looks super cute and its creamy texture and delicious flavor will amaze you. So let's get started. We start with the glaze because it needs to set for 24 hours before we can use it. The ingredients we need are water, sugar, pectin NH, citric acid, glucose syrup, and white and orange water-soluble colorant, but for now we set them aside. We add the water to the glucose syrup, then we add 3/4 of the sugar, and we place the saucepan on medium heat. In the meantime, we mix the pectin NH with the remaining sugar, and we take them to the stove together with the citric acid. We mix with a whisk, and when the mixture reaches between 35 and 40 degrees Celsius, we start adding the pectin and sugar slowly and mixing vigorously at the same time. When the mixture starts to boil, we add the citric acid and we mix. And we continue to cook for 4 minutes and we mix from time to time. After that, we remove from the heat. We pass the glaze through a sieve into a tall jug. And then we add a little bit of white water-soluble colorant and also some orange. You can start with a little bit and add more if needed. We blend using an immersion blender till the colors are well combined. We cover with cling film in contact and we place it in the fridge for 24 hours. Next, we make the pecan cake. For the pecan cake, we need butter, powdered sugar, pecans, flour, powdered cinnamon, chopped pecans, egg whites, and honey. We add the butter to a saucepan and we place it on low to medium heat. In the meantime, in a mixing bowl, we combine the dry ingredients, the flour and the cinnamon. We process the pecans and the powdered sugar. We are making pecan flour, but it does not need to be very fine. In this way, we add more texture to the cake. We add the pecan flour and powdered sugar to the rest of the dry ingredients and we mix with a whisk. We set the bowl aside and now we can check the butter. We cook the butter till the temperature is 140 degrees Celsius and then we remove it from the heat. We pass the butter through a sieve into a stainless steel bowl. Please do not use plastic because it could melt. We allow the butter to cool to 50 degrees Celsius and in the meantime we add the room temperature egg whites to the dry ingredients. We mix to incorporate and then we add the honey and we mix. Once the butter has cooled to 50 degrees Celsius, we start adding it gradually to the batter and we mix to incorporate every time we add more. After adding all the batter looks glossy, creamy, and runny. We cover the batter with cling film in contact and we place it in the fridge for 12 hours and in this way we get a more flavorful and softer cake. We cover the chopped pecans and we set them aside for later. After the 12 hours, we preheat the oven to the internal temperature of 165 degrees Celsius or 329 degrees Fahrenheit. On a tray, we prepare a ring lined with aluminum foil so that the batter doesn't come out while baking, and we also add parchment paper. And we take the batter out of the fridge. We remove the cling film. The batter got thicker and creamy, and now we pour the batter inside the ring. We spread it in an even layer slowly. Now we take the chopped pecans and we spread them on top of the batter. And we press slightly with a spatula. We bake for 10 minutes or until golden brown. The pecan cake is ready now. We can check for doneness using a toothpick. If it comes out clean, then it's properly baked. We allow it to cool at room temperature while we make the crumble base. We set the oven temperature to 150 degrees Celsius or 302 degrees Fahrenheit. For the crumble, we need butter, pecans, powdered sugar, flour, and cocoa powder. We place the flour into the mixing bowl and we add the cold butter. In a food processor, we add the pecans and the powdered sugar and we process them to get pecan flour, but it doesn't have to be super fine. And we add it to the mixing bowl. We also add a 1/4 cup of cocoa powder. We mix with a paddle attachment on low speed at first and then we increase the speed to medium. We mix till the mixture resembles wet sand. We place the crumbled dough in a tray lined with silicone mat and we spread it. and we bake it for 20 minutes. While the crumble is baking and once the pecan cake is cooled, we remove the aluminum foil and the parchment paper, and we pass a knife between the cake and the ring, and we remove the ring. We place the pecan sponge on a cutting board, and using a cookie cutter of 4 centimeters in diameter, we cut little circles. Check out the texture of this pecan cake. The rest of the pecan cake can be wrapped in cling film and frozen for a month. After 20 minutes of baking, the crumble is ready, and using a fork we break it into small pieces. It smells so good, and believe me, it's delicious. Now we allow it to cool at room temperature. Next, we make the pumpkin ganache. The ingredients we need are pumpkin puree, milk chocolate, passion fruit puree, and butter. We melt the chocolate in the microwave for 30 seconds at a time till the chocolate is 45 degrees Celsius. In the meantime, we place the passion fruit into a saucepan, and then we add the pumpkin puree, and we place it on medium heat. Once it gets to 45 degrees Celsius, we remove from the heat. The chocolate is also at 45 degrees Celsius. We place the puree in a tall jug, and we add the melted chocolate. We mix with a spatula to combine, and then we blend to get a smooth texture. Now we add the room temperature butter, and we blend. The ganache is creamy and glossy, and now we can pour it into a pastry bag. We cut the tip of the pastry bag, and we fill the cavities of the silicone mold, which are 4 cm semi-spheres. Then we place the little pecan cake circles on top of the ganache, and we press slightly just to attach. We cover with cling film, and we freeze for at least 4 hours, ideally 6 hours. Once frozen, we remove the cling film. And we take the little cakes out of the mold. Then we keep them in the freezer while we make the pumpkin mousse. Before making the mousse, we want to make sure we have everything ready because this mousse sets very fast. The ingredients we need are pumpkin puree, passion fruit puree, cornstarch, sugar, gelatin mass, glucose syrup, and cold whipping cream. First, we semi-whip the cream. It increased in volume, but it's still liquid. And for now, we place it into the fridge. We add the pumpkin puree to the glucose syrup, and we also add the passion fruit puree. And we mix to combine. Then we combine the sugar and the cornstarch. And we add them to the puree while mixing. We place the saucepan on low to medium heat, and we mix constantly. We want to bring the mixture to a boil, and then we cook it for 2 minutes. Otherwise, our mousse would have an unpleasant taste of starch. Then we remove from the heat, and we add the gelatin mass. And we mix to melt the gelatin and to combine well. We place the saucepan over a bowl with cold water to cool the puree mixture faster. The mixture has to be less than 40 degrees Celsius to be able to add the whipped cream. Once it has cooled, we remove from the water bath and we dry the bottom of the saucepan. We take the little cakes out of the freezer. Then we take the whipped cream out of the fridge, and we start adding it gradually to the puree mixture while mixing. We switch to a spatula and we fold in the cream till well combined. The mousse thickens and sets very fast, so we have to assemble our pumpkin cakes very fast. This is the reason why I make mousse for only 6 cakes at a time. The mousse is a beautiful color. We place the mousse into a piping bag, and we cut the tip, and we fill 3/4 of the pumpkin mold. And using a spoon, we spread the mousse in the mold, making sure to get rid of air pockets. Now we take a little pecan and ganache cake and we pass the finger over it to remove the condensation that formed on top. And then we insert it in the mousse. Using a small spatula, we remove the excess mousse, and we do the same with the rest of the cakes. We cover them with cling film in contact and we place them in the freezer for at least 6 hours. Once the cakes are frozen, we can prepare to glaze them. We take the glaze out of the fridge and we warm it up between 50 and 56 degrees Celsius. We place the glaze in the microwave for 30 seconds at a time. Once the glaze is liquid, we blend it to make sure we get rid of air bubbles. The glaze is 55 degrees Celsius and we are ready to glaze the cakes now. We take the cakes out of the freezer, we remove the cling film and any condensation that formed on top. We insert the tip of a skewer in the center of the cake and then we unmold the cake, pulling the mold firmly, and if there are any dents on the cake surface, we smooth it out while wearing gloves. We do not want to melt the cake. If the cakes start to melt, it's better to place them in the freezer bag for 20 minutes. We glaze one cake at a time, and in the meantime, we place the rest of the cakes in the freezer. We dip the cake into the glaze and we take it out fast, and we hold the skewer at an angle to allow the extra glaze to drip. Then we remove the skewer, gently rotating it. Using a spatula, we transfer the cake gently on a cake tray covered with parchment paper, and we remove the spatula by pulling it out slowly. We continue to glaze the rest of the cakes in the same way. If the glaze gets colder than 50 degrees Celsius, I recommend reheating it to 55 degrees Celsius and blend it again, and then you can continue to glaze. You can still glaze even at 48 degrees Celsius, but the layer of glaze will be too thick. After glazing the cakes, we cover them and we place them in the fridge between 4 and 6 hours to thaw. Once we are done glazing, we blend the glaze again and we cover it with cling film and contact, and we can store it in the fridge for up to 2 weeks. Once the cakes are defrosted, we can serve them. We place 2 spoons of crumble as a base, and then we place the cake over it using a spatula. And to decorate, I use chocolate stems, but you can decorate them to your liking. The cakes are ready! For the best texture, I recommend leaving the cakes covered for 30 minutes at room temperature. Let's cut it and see how it looks inside. Check out those layers and creamy texture. Let's taste it. It's so delicious, it just melts in the mouth. It's creamy and it combines so well with the crispy crumble. Try my recipe and you will be amazed. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave me a like and subscribe to my channel if you didn't do so yet. Thank you for your support and I will see you soon with another video. Bye!